Again, Kevin Culp, PM Head of Cloud Management Software and Solutions here at Supermicro. Today, this podcast will begin to dig deeper into the lifecycle management of Nvidia's NVL72 rack. As mentioned in the previous video clip, an NVL72 rack is managed and monitored differently than traditional rack configurations within SuperCloud Composer. To this point, most of our videos have discussed traditional rack management where an appliance gets discovered during device discovery, and each device gets associated with a rack. So how is the NVL72 different? During rack discovery, the entire rack with its associated appliances gets discovered as one entity. Each appliance within the rack is carefully checked for rack slot unit location and health rollup, visually representing it in SuperCloud Composer's AI Supercluster module. With this SuperCloud Composer release, we offer sensor data collection, monitoring and managing for the newly optimized in-rack CDU, in-row CDU for DLC scale-out, leak detection, PDU management, power management, switch management, and standard lifecycle management of a server. So let's unpack this. So first, we're going to log into the web GUI here, the landing page. And there are a couple of methods that we log in. We talked about this in previous videos where you can log in based on an identity server or an identity provider, such as KeyCloak, through single sign-on. The ability also to do authentication from a common source as Active Directory or Microsoft Active Directory, and having support for multiple domain support for Active Directory or single domain support, and then through just what we refer to as local access or global admin, where the global admin or the accounts are protected in a secret location within SuperCloud Composer's kernel appliance. So we're going to log in today as global admin, and we simply type in the word admin in uppercase, and then we are going to be challenged with a password. So we're going to plug the password in here. And once we plug in the password, we're going to be taken directly to the dashboard. And this dashboard is read-only. Pretty much everybody sees this dashboard as far as any users that are associated with their role within the data center. And so this is our sandbox that we have set up for GB200 NVL72. And you'll notice on the left-hand side, the menu options have basically changed. There's a new option here called AI Supercluster, where we actually discover the NVL72 rack in that module configuration. So we're going to click there, and you can see here that we've already discovered a rack through our supercluster list. So you're able to support multiple NVL72 rack configurations that will be listed in this list. We just happen to have just one in the list that we're actually troubleshooting. And if we want to look at this information, we can click here, and what we see here is the visual representation of a rack for NVL72. It's a 48U form factor size rack. And as I mentioned in the previous video, each of the racks come pre-populated with the entire configuration as it is, right? We went through that in the video earlier where we broke down each quadrant in which these appliances were placed inside the rack. So I want to point out a couple of things here within our configuration. The first thing is that it is actually monitored and managed or controlled by what we refer to as a CDU. That CDU shows up at the bottom of the list here, always in rack slot unit 1. And each of these rack slot units, when discovered, actually are provided in discovery of the rack slot location. So very much different in which we would discover appliances and then associate those appliances to a rack within the rack slot unit itself. So very different configuration in how we discover this entire rack its entirety. Um, the other thing I want to mention is if you want to make any changes to the physical asset location information, you can do so by clicking here. At this button here, it will allow you to make changes and edit those changes. Maybe you want to associate these types of racks with a special inferencing or application you're running. So you may want to group these racks together. Maybe perhaps all these racks are associated with Chat GPT, right? And you want to group these racks into what we call a Chat GPT cloud, right? Or pod. So this concept of pod is grouping racks together based on a common workload. That's never changed, right? We had this capability in air-cooled solutions and also B200 solutions where you would associate racks with a group. So we brought that and bolted this same methodology and mission and initiative into our NVL72 configuration. You'll see on the other side here is that there's a icon to indicate it is controlled through a water droplet or through a direct-to-chip liquid-cooled solution. And as mentioned, all the CDUs always come to the bottom here. So whether you're using Supermicro's direct-to-chip, like such as a B200 configuration, same kind of CDUs will be placed in rack slot unit 1. The other aspect of this is that rack slot unit 1, if you hover over here, the number 1 indicates that is in the blue area there that indicates the starting position of rack slot unit 1, and then it occupies essentially 4 slots, indicating a form factor of 4. And if you wanted to add PDU information in here, which will obviously be part of the NVL72 rack configuration, you would add in various different zones, A, B, C, and D, dependent upon where those are located within the rack configuration itself. So those are showing up in here by just clicking here in the add and then putting in the information, and then obviously you will be able to collect sensor data and be able to control the entire environment through this PDU management we have bolted in to our configuration for NVL72. So any changes you want to make as far as rack information is concerned, such as you want to associate that if you added a pod here or a group, it would be assigned or available as a drop down for you to associate this rack to a group. And then you can make the appropriate changes here as well into the configuration. As I mentioned in previous videos, we did device discovery of the appliance, right? This is very much different in the NVL72. It's the entire rack that actually gets discovered. All right, so that's a little bit about the actual rack configuration. So then what we're going to do is click here again, and we have the ability to drop down to show you the various different rack slot units that consist here within the rack or associated with this rack design configuration. You'll see here roll-ups to indicate the health roll-up of each of these particular appliances, and using what we call a tree architecture to be able to support this. And by clicking on each one of these, we represent specifically what that appliance is. So we have different icons here to associate whether it's a power shelf versus a compute tray versus an NVL link switch tray. And then you see here in rack slot unit 1 the water droplet here to indicate it is a liquid cooled particular rack. These little ones here that are the triangles represent the SKU images not available. We're working to provide a visual representation of each of these that we would like to visualize in this. For the first particular release, we'll just release out with the standard stencil and basically show this information as SKU images not available. It would not impact anything to do with the rack management itself. It's more of a cosmetic thing here, but we thought we would roll this out anyways and not delay our release just because we don't have available SKU images to display within the rack configuration. Okay, so that's a little bit about the rack itself. So we're going to go into each detail of these devices or appliances within the rack slot unit. So we'll start with the first one here, which is the rack slot unit 1, which is the CDU. So we provide a front and rear view. All the collateral here associated with this in-rack CDU, showing you IP address, MAC address, the serial number, SKU, form factor, drawer height. By clicking here, you can simply log into the BMC of this CDU itself. So that's certainly possible. And then also, we can go in and look at other detailed sensor data associated with this rack as well, which we'll show you very shortly. So going down to the next one here, if we click here, it shows us information about the NVL link switch itself, showing you SKU information, drawer height, manufacturer, MAC address, serial number, and then we continue down showing you basically the compute tray, which is essentially the servers inside this NVL72 rack configuration. You can click here on the BMC. It'll take you directly into the BMC of that server, such as the IKVM console. And we show asset information associated with the compute tray. So coming down to the next one, which is the power tray, you can see here that our manufacturer is Light-On Technology Corporation. And so this is the power shelf information that we display. And then we have additional power shelves here within the configuration. So that's at a high level, showing you specifically the rack configuration. I'm trying to keep these videos very short. So in the next particular video, we'll drill down to and look more detail on sensor data and lifecycle management for each of these appliances. Thanks for joining today. We'll see you next time.